that's the RAF March Past, and I always think of it when I drive the last car I'm going to talk about in this series, the one that I've owned for 30 years, and it's this, a Bristol 411. It's got a V8 engine, it's handmade, 6.5 litre V8, aluminium body, huge chassis, 150 miles an hour, which you're pleased to know I don't do. This is a 1975 411 series. And it's got a rather wonderful instruction manual, just the sort of thing for a chap, such as this. Look at this chap being shown how to change a wheel, open the container for to change the wheel, to get the wheel out, spare wheel out. Look, he's got a nice watch on, and he's got cufflinks, he's even got a wedding ring on. Proper chap. Just the sort of thing I want to be. The car was originally built by the Bristol Aircraft Company. It's later spun off, but it came about because the Bristol Aircraft Company, after the war, there wasn't the demand, especially from the RAF, to commission new planes, and so they had lots of material and workers on their hands, and so somebody said, well, if we've got all this aluminium and all these workers, why don't we build a car ourselves? And in fact they did, and what they did, they got hold of a designer of BMW who was facing war crimes charges, and sprung him out of Munich and brought him to Bristol, and basically their first car was a vamped up pre-war BMW 328, and from then they never looked back. Very small manufacturer. The connection with Bristol was very deep because a lot of people who bought the cars, in fact the person who came to own the company, Tony Crook, were connected with the aircraft industry and even with the RAF, and Tony Crook had been an air race during the war, and after that he was a racing driver, but they had people like Freddie Laker who owned one of these cars, and then there's people like Richard Branson who still does. The Swire family, they love the cars. They own, of course, Cathay Pacific. And then there's other sorts of people like Paul Smith and Noel Gallagher, and even the CEO of Audi. How eccentric is that? And in fact, the whole thing is a bit eccentric for these cars, because they were trying to build a car that had like the performance of an Aston Martin but the build quality of a Rolls Royce, a sort of mixture of the two. And this big American V8 and this lightweight body seemed to fit the bill. And I think it sort of appealed to people who thought beyond the ordinary idea of what a car is. And maybe it's people who were in the aircraft industry that made the car into what it was and gave it its character. But the Bristol Aircraft Company were the progenitors of the Bristol Concorde, the aircraft that was the supersonic jet. In fact, I travelled on it once to New York and back, and in fact you always get to see photographs in the Bristol Owners Club of the Concorde with the Bristol parked up against it, or maybe it's the other way around. Anyway, talking about eccentrics, they only had one showroom, which was in Kensington High Street, and the eccentric-in-chief, Tony Crook, would only sell you a car if he took a liking to you. He must have taken a liking to me, because I took in my 409, 1966 409, 25 years ago or more than that, 28, to part exchange it for a 411, which had power steering and was a better car. And he did actually sell me the car eventually, but one of the things he did do, and was to get you keen. He would rubbish other manufacturers. He would say things like, a Bentley, it's just like a great big farting dog. And he would say a Jaguar, well, that's for cheap jacks, isn't it? It's just a mass-produced car, because Bristol, of course, was a handmade car. It's a mass-produced car. It's a sort of seeing, you know, a tailor's dummy in a shop window. It looks like a Savile Row suit, but when you put it on, it starts creasing and falling apart. They're never advertised, and in fact it wasn't very long ago, it was this year, that they went bust for the last time, which is very sad really. And the Bristol Owners Club, of which I'm a member, are buying all the spare parts and things for these cars, because they are beautiful cars to drive. There's something about them that is, I mean, that's the main thing, it's a driver's car. Apart from its power and everything, it's understated. And it's nice to be driving down a motorway and you get some sort of go faster freak up behind you in an outside lane doing 65. And if you just put your foot down, it goes like, again, hot shit off a shovel. Well, this iron fist in a velvet glove sort of thing is all very well, but today very few people know what a Bristol is, especially, how do I put this? Well, I will put it, if you're over 60 and you know something about cars, you'll recognise a Bristol, but somebody will say, isn't that a Bristol? Because it does say Bristol with very small letters on the back, nothing as vulgar as advertising. But most people, like a chap the other day, would come up to you in a garage and say, excuse me mate, is that a kit car? A kit car? It's a bespoke car, it's the most exclusive car in Britain. How dare! Of course he's right, because they made so few in volume that they had to go into the parts bin of other manufacturers, mass manufacturers. So my car has the rear lights from, for example, a Hillman Hunter of the 1970s, and embarrassingly, the door handles are from an Austin Maxi.